to Fall Walk 29. I believe that's the count that we're on today. Of course, before we start, let me go ahead and start my step counter here so we can track our distance. And we can walk the appropriate length to account for the 3.23 miles that we have to do to accomplish 100 miles by the end of this month. I'm gonna go ahead and select walk and begin. Okay, so earlier today, I did manage to get a pretty decent walk during my lunch break. I actually did a 2.02 mile walk, so today's video is going to be a little shorter to account for that. So 3.23 minus 2.02. So we only need to do 1.2 miles, which is good. You know, I like a little bit of variability here and there. It doesn't always have to be as long. Sometimes doing shorter walks is nice. It keeps things interesting. And it's also nice just to take a little bit of a rest every once in a while. It is cold here in South Florida. For us, cold means 73 degrees. So I do have my jacket on. And without further ado, let's hop into today's reading of the Atomic Habits book that we have been reading. Today we're going to be starting on chapter 4. Before we get there, let's of course revisit chapter 3, and let's look at the chapter summary for chapter 3. Let me just get there really quick. Okay, here we go. Put my phone in landscape mode. And here we go. The chapter summary for chapter 3. The habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. The ultimate purpose of habits is to solve the problems of life with as little energy and effort as possible. Any habit can be broken down into a feedback loop that involves 4 steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. The 4 laws of behavior change are a simple set of rules we can use to build better habits. They are to 1, make it obvious, 2, make it attractive, 3, make it easy, and 4, make it satisfying. So again, I hope you've all been able to digest this information, really think about it, really think about how you can use this new information to be able to further improve your own life, making these 1% changes every single day, building the foundation and the systems that will allow you to continue to progress, and of course, continuing to work on this feedback loop of our habit building and how we can take full advantage of it to continue creating good habits and breaking bad ones. This new chapter takes us into the first law, which is to make it obvious. And chapter 4 is called The Man Who Didn't Look Right. So let's get right into it. The psychologist Gary Klein once told me a story about a woman who attended a family gathering. She had spent years working as a paramedic and, upon arriving at the event, took one look at her father-in-law and got very concerned. "I don't like the way you look," she said. Her father-in-law, who was feeling perfectly fine, jokingly replied, "Well, I don't like your looks either." "No," she insisted, "you need to go to the hospital now." A few hours later, the man was undergoing life-saving surgery after an examination had revealed that he had a blockage to a major artery and was at immediate risk of a heart attack. Without his daughter-in-law's intuition, he could have died. What did the paramedic see? How did she predict his impending heart attack? When major arteries are obstructed, the body focuses on sending blood to critical organs and away from peripheral locations near the surface of the skin. The result is a change in the pattern of distribution of blood in the face. After many years of working with people with heart failure, the woman had unknowingly developed the ability to recognize this pattern on sight. She couldn't explain what it was that she noticed in her father-in-law's face, but she knew something was wrong. Similar stories exist in other fields. For example, military analysts can identify which blip on a radar screen is an enemy missile, and which one is a plane from their own fleet, even though they are traveling at the same speed, flying at the same altitude, and look identical on radar in nearly every aspect. During the Gulf War, Lieutenant Commander Michael Riley saved an entire battleship when he ordered a missile shot down. Despite the fact that it looked exactly like the battleship's own planes on radar, he made the right call, but even his superior officers couldn't explain how he did it. Museum curators have been known to discern the difference between an authentic piece of art and an expertly produced counterfeit, even though they can't tell you precisely which details tip them off. Experienced radiologists can look at a brain scan and predict the area where a stroke will develop before any obvious signs are visible to the untrained eye. I've even heard of hairdressers noticing whether a client is pregnant based only on the feel of her hair. The human brain is a prediction machine. It is continuously taking in your surroundings and analyzing the information it comes across. Whenever you experience something repeatedly, like a paramedic seeing the face of a heart attack patient or a military analyst seeing a missile on a radar screen, your brain begins noticing what is important, sorting through the details and highlighting the relevant cues and cataloging that information for future use. With enough practice, you can pick up on the cues that predict certain outcomes without consciously thinking about it. Automatically, your brain encodes the lessons learned through experience. We can't always explain what it is we are learning, but learning is happening all along the way. And your ability to notice the relevant cues in a given situation is the foundation for every habit you have. We underestimate how much our brains and bodies can do without thinking. You do not tell your hair to grow, your heart to pump, your lungs to breathe, or your stomach to digest. And yet your body handles all this and more on autopilot. You are much more than your conscious self. Consider hunger. How do you know when you're hungry? You don't necessarily have to see a cookie on the counter to realize that it's time to eat. Appetite and hunger are governed non-consciously. Your body has a variety of feedback loops that gradually alert you when it's time to eat again, and that track what is going on around you and within you. Cravings can arise thanks to hormones and chemicals circulating through your body, suddenly you're hungry even though you're not quite sure what tipped you off. This is one of the most surprising insights about our habits. You don't need to be aware of the cue for a habit to begin. You can notice an opportunity and take action without dedicating conscious attention to it. This is what makes habits useful. It's also what makes them dangerous. As habits form, your actions come under the direction of your automatic and non-conscious mind. You fall into old patterns before you realize what's happening. Unless someone points it out, you may not notice that you cover your mouth with your hand whenever you laugh, that you apologize before asking a question, or that you have a habit of finishing other people's sentences. And the more you repeat these patterns, the less likely you become to question what you're doing and why you're doing it. I once heard of a retail clerk who was instructed to cut up empty gift cards after customers had used up the balance on the card. One day, the clerk cashed out a few customers in a row who purchased with gift cards. When the next person walked up, the clerk swiped the customer's actual credit card, picked up the scissors, and then cut it in half, entirely on autopilot, before looking up at the stunned customer and realizing what had just happened. Another woman I came across in my research was a former preschool teacher who had switched to a corporate job. Even though she was now working with adults, her old habits would kick in and she kept asking coworkers if they had washed their hands after going to the bathroom. I also found the story of a man who had spent years working as a lifeguard and would occasionally yell "walk" whenever he saw a child running. Just give me one moment here to pass these folks. A classic case of self-consciousness. Again, not putting myself on the spot here. Over time, the cues that spark our habits become so common that they are essentially invisible. The treats on the kitchen counter, the remote control next to the couch, the phone in our pocket. Our responses to these cues are so deeply encoded that it may feel like the urge to act comes from nowhere. For this reason, we must begin the process of behavior change with awareness. Before we can effectively build new habits, we need to get a handle on our current ones. This can be more challenging than it sounds because once a habit is firmly rooted in your life, it is mostly non-conscious and automatic. If a habit remains mindless, you can't expect to improve it. As the psychologist Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The habits scorecard. The Japanese railway system is regarded as one of the best in the world. If you ever find yourself riding a train at Tokyo, you'll notice that the conductors have a peculiar habit. As each operator runs the train, they proceed through a ritual of pointing at different objects and calling out commands. When the train approaches a signal, the operator will point at it and say, "Signal is green." As the train pulls into and out of each station, the operator will point at the speedometer and call out the exact speed. When it's time to leave, the operator will point at the timetable and state the time. Out on the platform, other employees are performing similar actions. Before each train departs, staff members will point along the edge of the platform and declare, "All clear." Every detail is identified, pointed at, and named aloud. This process, known as pointing and calling, is a safety system designed to reduce mistakes. It seems silly, but it works incredibly well. Pointing and calling reduces errors by up to 85% and cuts accidents by 30%. The MTA subway system in New York City adopted a modified version that is point only, And within 2 years of implementation, incidents of incorrectly berthed subways fell 57%. Pointing and calling is so effective because it raises the level of awareness from a non-conscious habit to a more conscious level. Because the train operators must use their eyes, hands, mouth, and ears, they are more likely to notice problems before something goes wrong. My wife does something similar. Whenever we're preparing to walk out the door for a trip, she verbally calls out the most essential items in her packaging list. I've got my keys, I've got my wallet, I've got my glasses, I've got my husband. The more automatic a behavior becomes, the less likely we are to consciously think about it. And when we've done something 1,000 times before, we begin to overlook things. We assume that the next time will just be like that. We're so used to doing what we've always done that we don't stop to question whether it's the right thing to do at all. Many of our failures in performance are largely attributable to a lack of self-awareness. One of our greatest challenges in changing habits is maintaining awareness of what we are actually doing. This helps explain why the consequences of bad habits can sneak up on us. We need a point and call system for our personal lives. That's the origin of the habit scorecard, which is a simple exercise you can use to become more aware of your behavior. To create your own, make a list of your daily habits. Here's a sample of where your list might start. Wake up, turn off alarm, check my phone, go to the bathroom, weigh myself, take a shower, brush my teeth, floss my teeth, put on deodorant, hang up towel to dry, get dressed, make a cup of tea, and so on. Once you have a full list, look at each behavior and ask yourself, is this a good habit, a bad habit, or a neutral habit? If it's a good habit, write a plus next to it. If it's a bad habit, write a minus. If it's a neutral habit, write equals. For example, the list above might look like this. And then he proceeds to write the same list with the symbols next to them, whether they are a good, neutral, or bad habit. The marks you give to a particular habit will depend on your situation and your goals. For someone who is trying to lose weight, eating a bagel with peanut butter every morning might be a bad habit. For someone who is trying to bulk up and add muscle, the same behavior might be a good habit. It all depends on what you're working towards. Scoring your habits can be a bit more complex for another reason as well. The labels good habit and bad habit are slightly inaccurate. There are no good habits or bad habits. There are only effective habits, that is, effective at solving problems. All habits serve you in some way, even the bad ones, which is why you repeat them. For this exercise, categorize your habits by how they will benefit you in the long run. Generally speaking, good habits will have net positive outcomes. Bad habits have net negative outcomes. Smoking a cigarette may reduce stress right now, that's how it's serving you, but it's not a healthy long-term behavior. If you're still having trouble determining how to rate a particular habit, here's a question I like to use. Does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Does this habit cast a vote for or against my desired identity? Habits that reinforce your desired identity are usually good. Habits that conflict with your desired identity are usually bad. As you create your habit scorecard, there is no need to change anything at first. The goal is to simply notice what is actually going on. Observe your thoughts and actions without judgment or internal criticism. Don't blame yourself for your faults. Don't praise yourself for your successes. If you eat a chocolate bar every morning, acknowledge it, almost as if you were watching someone else. Oh, how interesting that they would do such a thing. If you binge eat, simply notice that you are eating more calories than you should. If you waste your time online, notice that you are spending your life in a way that you do not want to. The first step to changing bad habits is to be on the lookout for them. If you feel like you need extra help, then you can try pointing and calling in your own life. Say out loud the action that you are thinking of and taking and what the outcome will be. If you want to cut back on your junk food habit but notice yourself grabbing another cookie, say out loud, I'm about to eat this cookie, but I don't need it. Eating it will cause me to gain weight and hurt my health. Hearing your bad habits spoken aloud makes the consequences seem more real. It adds weight to the action rather than letting yourself mindlessly slip into an old routine. This approach is useful even if you're simply trying to remember a task on your to-do list. Just saying out loud, tomorrow I need to go to the post office after lunch, increases the odds that you'll actually do it. You're getting yourself to acknowledge the need for action, and that can make all the difference. The process of behavior change always starts with awareness. Strategies like pointing and calling and the habit scorecard are focused on getting you to recognize your habits and acknowledge the cues that trigger them, which makes it possible to respond in a way that benefits you. And that's it for chapter 4. The funny thing is, the same way that we were doing a short walk today, is the same way that that chapter was a short chapter. So it kind of lined up nicely. So tomorrow, we're going to be reading chapter 5, and then I won't be reading anymore on Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday will be a normal 3.2 mile walk like always, and Sunday we'll wrap up the week with a walk in a different park. I've already mentioned the park that I'll be going to, so on Sunday, definitely keep a lookout for that video. And of course, if you like this type of thing, where I walk and try new things out, some walks I might just talk about random things, other walks I might be reading a book or a couple of chapters or pieces of a book like I am now. Or maybe on other days I'll look up some videos or some stuff on Reddit and just randomly talk about them. So if you're into that stuff, make sure to subscribe, like the video, ring that notification bell icon so you're always updated about the latest postings I create, and let's just really have a good time with it. So doing a quick progress check, we've done 0.8 miles, and now that I've put the book down, it's time to increase the pace a little bit. Today was a really good day. I got a lot of work done. I didn't actually go to the gym because, again, I'm doing my 3 days a week full body workout routine. And, you know, as much as I love going to the gym, I really do value these rest days, as they allow me to do just that. We're in a moment, this is a form of active recovery, right? So I'm not actively training my muscles, but I'm out here walking, exploring, taking in the nature around me, and just appreciating life. I'm very excited because in about 8 days, I'm going to be starting my vacation. So keep a lookout for that. I'll be making it a community post the closer we get, just to give you all an update of what I'm currently doing and what my plan is. And then you'll all see the videos starting after Christmas. Are you all excited for Christmas? What are some of the things that you're grateful for, looking forward for? Let me know in the comments. Any presents that you're all excited about getting? There's a lot to look forward to. And I do feel like 2024 is going to be a fantastic year. I think we're going to start strong. We'll see by the end of the challenge. Actually, let's do a quick double check on the challenge. I haven't looked at the challenge in about a day. Might have to log in here. Oh, okay. So, all right, top 3 on the leaderboard, Raphael and Anna. So I know that Anna and myself have been really neck and neck. I mean, we are just right there with each other. It's gonna be very cool to see on that last day who's going to be the winner. Again, I probably won't count the steps I do while I'm on vacation because it would be considered an unfair advantage. I think I'm just doing way too much walking. Remember, in the beginning of the video, in the beginning of the series, I mentioned how the goal shouldn't really be to surpass 3.23 miles a day. You might feel inclined to do so, and you might really believe that you can, and I'm sure you can, but the goal is to keep it small enough so that you're doing your daily walk, you're doing what you have to do, but more importantly, you're practicing consistency. Because what's the point of walking? Let's see, we're doing 100 miles in a month. So let's say there was, typically 4 weekends in a single month. Imagine you were able to walk 25 miles once a week, right? That's not really practicing too much consistency. I mean, I guess you can say your consistency rate is once a week, but I don't think that's very helpful. I'd rather do a little bit every single day. So the point of this first challenge is really just to get you out of the house, to get you to commit to something and try to do it every single day of the month. And then later on, if we have more grandiose challenges, suppose we have a 200 mile for the month challenge, then maybe there you can go all out and walk however many miles you want in a single day just to be able to reach your goal. That'll be the day when that happens. I think that'll be a lot of fun. There's a lot of other ideas I have for the channel, as I've mentioned before, and I'll definitely try to keep you all posted as to those the closer we get to them. Let's check out the Discord real quick. I know a lot of you have been using the Discord. You've all been actively engaging with each other, letting each other know how your walks are going, the amount of steps you've done. Sorry, I'm literally, clicked on Discord and it looks like their UI got an update. I had to go through that really quick. But anyway, we're here and we're doing our walk, Fall Walk 28. It's about to be 30 days, so 30 walking videos that I've uploaded. That to me is a milestone in and of itself. Let me actually circle back around here. I still have some mileage to get past. I think we saw earlier. Let's see what that count was. So 1.21. Yeah, we still have a little bit to do. Let's see what's popular on Reddit. The Game Awards the day before. I mean, the Game Awards are something that I could probably talk about depending on what the nominees. I thought we've already gone over the nominees for the Game Awards. Full nominees list. Yep. Alan Wake 2. That game's gonna be awesome. Rather, that game is awesome. I haven't played it as much as I would have liked, but it is a great game. Okay, and we have just passed our 1.22 mile mark. So we've officially accomplished, one second. We have officially accomplished our 3.23 mile goal for today. A lot of good things to feel good about. So let me go ahead and pause this workout. Let's finish this one. 1.25 miles, 23 minutes and 15 seconds. Average pace of 18 minutes and 36 seconds, 127 calories with an average heart rate of 86 beats per minute. It's our shortest walk yet. That is only because of the walks I did earlier today. So just to keep things timely, again, I'm not overshooting here. The goal is so that you can watch these videos and sort of accomplish your goal as well. The videos should line up with about how much walking you need to accomplish in a day. Maybe you need that extra 25 minutes, you can watch this video. It's not for me to walk 50 miles and make a video about that. So I got to keep it as close to the real thing as possible. And like I said, in future videos, we might try something new. But for now, that's how it's gonna be. And with that being said, thank you everyone for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoyed today's reading of Atomic Habits of Chapter 4. And I do hope that the previous chapters, including this one, have taught you a little bit about what it means to build yourself and continue to improve yourself. It surely has for me. And again, I hope it has done the same for you. So with all that being said, take care everyone, and happy holidays.